Good evening, everyone. My name is Rebecca Lisi. I'm the Deputy Town Manager for East Longmeadow. Thank you for being here this evening. We're here to explore digital equity in the town of East Longmeadow. I secured a grant for the town, and that grant is being paid directly to our consultant, Kimley Horn, who is here tonight to give a short presentation. And we're exploring digital equity in order to create a plan for the town. And then once we have a plan, we'll be able to go after additional funds for implementation. And digital equity has to do with the access that we have to the internet, whether it's accessible and affordable. It has to do with whether folks have the devices that they need to communicate with loved ones, to get on the internet to do regular business, or even to conduct telehealth and other appointments online. And then finally, we're also looking at the digital skills that folks have to ensure that when they get a device, they're able to manipulate the settings to serve their needs, to surf the web and work with ease online. So tonight, I'd like to present Bill Scully, our consultant with Kimley Horn, and I'll pass the mic over to you. Bill, thanks for coming.
All right. Thank you, Rebecca. Good evening, everyone. With me from Kimley Horn tonight is Lisa and MJ, who will be helping me during the evening. Following the presentation, we've got some activities and information gathering to complete. So what we'd like to do today at the meeting is, one, just give a short overview of the program in the East Longmeadow digital plan that we're working on. Also gain input from the community. We've been here all day. We've been gathering information. We were at the Senior Center earlier today. We were at the library this afternoon, and just continue to gather information as to people's ability to access the internet, their ability to use the internet. And then we'll discuss barriers and opportunities to promote digital equity. So after the short presentation, we've got some activities to go through to really try to understand everyone's connection capabilities, literacy skills, and inadequacy of your computing devices, as Rebecca was saying. So the MBI, the Mass Broadband Institute, is a statewide organization, and they have been distributing grants to communities to really look at these issues. What we're finding, and as some of you may recognize when you're just out driving around, you don't always have good access to the internet, and in these days, it's essential and almost a requirement to be connected 24/7. So they developed a grant program to help communities start to assess needs and develop a blueprint moving forward. East Longmeadow was one of the communities that did receive a grant earlier in the year, and we've been working with the community over the past few months, gathering information and data. The program assists those communities making decisions, identifying actions, setting priorities, and as Rebecca said, ultimately you can then search for grant possibilities for implementing, whether it's training programs or equipment, things like that. So digital equity. Equity is a great term that we've been using in almost everything these days. Digital equity really relates to not only, it could be levels of income, where low income may not have access to internet, may not have access to equipment, but also geographically within the community. Some areas of a community have very poor access to the internet, and some have great access. So the plan and the program really is trying to make that consistent within the community so that everyone has opportunities to tie in and then do things, whether it's working, personal related activities, sometimes health related activities. The three major components of this program is to look at, as I mentioned, adequate computing device, the reliable broadband connection, and then digital literacy skills. We see variation, all the communities we're working with, a real wide range of issues within all three categories. So broadband in general is a high-speed internet access. It's always on. You as an individual, you as a household, you as a business may or may not be able to connect to it. It's there. It can be fixed or mobile. The Federal Communications has defined minimum criteria that would indicate you do have high-speed internet. So downloading speeds of 100 megabits per second and upload speeds of 20. And in East Long Meadow, we've identified the different providers. And on this chart, you see some of the categories of download, upload by residential and commercial services being provided. The check marks indicate, oh, we've hit that criteria. So Spectrum, you can see 1,000 megabits per second, upload 35, check mark, so you've met that 100 or 20. But you can see, Viasat, a satellite type of service for that. Uh-oh. Oh, there it goes. The X's and you don't satisfy that criteria. Now, it gets a little bit confusing because you can go to Viasat and see that, oh, you could get that service and it provides really higher services, higher speeds than that, but this is what we've seen in the town of East Long Meadow. Through our research and conversations in town, but also in other communities we're working in, and also other communities we're not working in, but Mass Broadband has been conducting studies and gathering information. Very common things that may lead to some actions the town can really take a lead on, and some of them, hopefully, Mass Broadband or a higher level can assist with some of those actions. But we've seen slow Wi-Fi. Yes, that does occur a lot, but one service provider tends to occur in almost every one of the communities we've been seeing. And it's usually tied to, cable, it's bundled, costs are fairly high, which is the next one, even today as we're talking to people. I don't have it, I don't really need it, it's way too expensive for me. Some of them did have it, pay the high price, and then they found an alternate way to get service. May not be great service, but they're paying $50 less per month to get something. And then the digital literacy gap. So that one too is a little bit tricky to assess, but just even in today's conversations where some of the seniors, for example, well, I don't like to ask a lot of questions because I don't want to feel kind of illiterate or, or they don't know the question to ask. So that does exist out there. I know myself, I don't know much about connecting and doing the IT stuff and connecting and doing all the tricks in the trade. So, you need help. And so we're trying to identify those kinds of gaps. Certainly, a young kid in high school is pretty adept to it. And some of the seniors, are less likely to be that, or they're afraid from the security point of view. So that literacy also relates to that. Speed matters in any service you're providing. And it's nice with the town of East Long Meadow, you're moving forward with that fiber optic system. But we use the internet for so many things these days. Public safety, health. So since the pandemic, there's a lot of healthcare being done, telehealth. Myself, sometimes I'm tied in on a computer talking to my doctor's office on things. Work, economic development. You need good service to encourage development in the community, whether it's industrial or retail, things to support the residential population, and then energy and transportation. So it's very important to have good service, high quality, high speed, for all of those reasons. The purpose of this is to develop, as I said earlier, a blueprint to point the town in a direction. Yes, we know fiber optic systems coming, but there's things to be done and other, in addition to that, to meet those different needs and the components of digital equity. So that's one of the main purposes that we have here as part of this project. The development process of the plan is outlined here. We're currently in the process of obtaining public input. We've been researching data. We will and have been discussing with key stakeholders in the community, going through an interview process, just getting into a conversation with them of what, how they see needs and what they're using things for, what difficulties and issues may exist. And at the end of all that, we compile all that information into a real good understanding of the current condition and the current needs. And then we'll identify potential actions and work with the committee to prioritize those actions going forward. And then that will enable the town to start to implement, also search for certain grants to help implement those actions. A lot of interest today in our conversations over the course of the day was, well, where's this going to go? Do we see the town really doing something and implementing these things? How is this going to really improve the situation for me? So we've been hopeful with them and telling them this is the first step in a blueprint, and we can identify things. So the implementation looks at these areas. We've outlined a couple of different funding sources right now. I mean, there's different things that in, for example, public housing communities, there's residential retrofit programs, there's the MAPC apartment Wi-Fi program that may be able to help older public housing communities to get service into that site. And then there's other programs as well. So those will be part of the plan, is to identify some potential funding sources. And then another thing we've been doing, and this is really the end of the presentation, but the Mass Broadband Institute has been conducting statewide survey of services for individuals in their household to see how that service is affecting them. Can they get online easy? The cost of it? What do they see as difficult? Do they feel their needs are met? So what we've been doing as part of the East Long Meadow study is encouraging additional local East Long Meadow residents to complete those surveys. And that'll be all rolled into not only getting to the state mass broadband, but also taken into account when we define existing conditions and start to identify needs. And with that, I'll conclude. We are going to do some activities, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you very much.